Okay, so this week the topic is queer Vietnamese Americans. And before we talk about queer Vietnamese Americans, we should talk about some key terms. One is heteronormative. What that means is that we live in a society that expects everyone to be heterosexual. Heterosexuality is the normal. And so Vietnamese American communities is a heteronormative type of family structure and society that's based on a patriarchy. So some of the expectations of that comes with living in a heteronormative society is that if you're a boy, you're going to get married to a girl in the future and have kids, and that if you're a boy, you're going to act masculine and manly, and if you're a woman, you're going to be feminine, and that you're going to marry a boy in the future and have kids, and develop the lineage that way. Now, but we all know that not everyone who lives within a heteronormative society is necessarily heterosexual. So, queer is the word that I use, and queer is not a bad word. It is a self-empowering word. Queer was once used as a bad word to make fun of people who are gay, but the gay rights movement has reappropriated that word to be inclusive of lesbians, bisexuals, gays, transgendered, questioning intersex individual. Or if you want to use, you can use the letter acronym LGBTQIA. Now, uh, Vietnamese American queers, they have to negotiate one, their Vietnamese American family and society, and two, mainstream queer society, which is mostly informed by uh, mainstream white queers, white men and women. And and the readings for this week will point out that that kind of those two different societies don't necessarily have the same understanding of what it means to be queer, what it means to be gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, and so on. And this causes a problem. So, for example, in mainstream white American gay culture or queer culture, coming out is a process. You come out to the world. Nowadays, you can come out through social media. I'm gay, and that's it. And you declare it, and your life goes on. But that's not necessarily achievable for someone who is Vietnamese American. For someone who is Vietnamese American, they might choose to live a double life where they're out to their friends and peers, their American people their age, their American born peer, or the peers that grew up in America just like them, and keep their lives, their gay lives, a secret from their parents, because the parents have certain cultural expectations of them, and they can't find it in themselves to break the news. However, that too is changing with P flag initiatives and P flag movements. Um, and the readings that you have for today is really talking about Vietnamese American lesbians and how they have created a space for themselves in a group called Oh Moi, so that they can support each other in being Vietnamese and lesbian, meaning they would not have to explain to their Vietnamese lesbian friends why they are not out to their parents but are out to them. Whereas if they were with non-Vietnamese American in the mainstream gay culture, they might have, and that can be stressing and tiring. So, One thing that I also want to point out is that a lot of there is a lot of movement here, and the movement is towards more acceptance of Vietnamese American families as well. Vietnamese American parents for their queer um, children. And this is a reflection of the larger kind of progress that has been made within the queer community in the United States. But there's much more work to do for queer people of color as racial issues intersects with gender and sex issues within the community, queer community, and and that becomes an issue. And another thing to point out that was interesting in the reading for this week is the way language, Vietnamese language, is used as a way to bond among Vietnamese lesbians in their lesbian group Oh Moi, where if you didn't speak Vietnamese, if you were not bilingual, you might be left out and felt left out. Whereas if you did speak Vietnamese, you would know um, and feel a sense of belonging. So that's it for this lecture.